Karting Raceway Formula A drivers are completing their roll-up laps here in preparation for the 32-lap final in Formula A. And there's the grid for you. Clark is starting up front by virtue of his great form. Lodinsky in second, then Tyson Pearce, Mark Winterbottom, and so it goes down the grid for you. I'm rejoined by Ian Salvestrin.
Thanks, David. This is the premier class of racing in Australia, the Eastern Creek International Karting Raceway Formula A category. This is the elite of Australian karting as we look for a green light and the start.
And it should be a fabulous finale. Away we go. Three of them charging towards the first corner. Running three wide on the racetrack. Man that started on pole, David Clark, has been swamped by Ryan Lodinsky in the PCR entry. Great job by him starting out at position 5 to find himself up front already.
Yeah, the field's shuffling through the first couple of corners. Again, wanting to get some heat into the tyres. It's a long way. It's a 32-lap final, nearly half an hour race. It's very, very hard on the drivers. And they want good track position early as they settle in for this race.
A number of drivers bumping into one another, which you'd expect. They run nose to tail. Very important early in the event to try and gain the upper hand, consolidate a good position on the racetrack. Here's a change of lead coming up as David Clark, who started on pole, moves down on the inside of Lodinsky and now secures the position that he believes he earned this weekend through his consistency.
That's right, Clark's been dominant. He qualified on pole position. He won the 3 qualifying heats. He won the pre-final to line up on pole for the final. And if that's any sign, he's going to make this final all his because he's already in the lead of this 32-lap final.
Winterbottom is third, Troy Hunt fourth. Troy in the commentary box just a short moment ago for our previous race call. So he'd be happy with things at the moment, cruising in fourth position. Beautiful close-up shot of David Clark, the Victorian in the CRG entry. Ryan Lodinsky has been fairly impressive in this national championship so far in 98. As we watch a change for third position with Hunt up the inside of Winterbottom. Winterbottom fights back. They both accelerate almost side by side, but you'll find Hunt has got the upper hand.
You just see Hunt pointing ahead there. He's saying, let's not fight with each other. Let's try and catch the leaders, because if we dice with each other, Mark, we're not going to catch them, and they're going to pull away even more. Hunt now has pulled 2 or 3 kart lengths already on Winterbottom, so we suggest Troy Hunt's the man on the charge.
Gary Dan also making good progress in the Techno kart, number 10. He is a South Australian driver. The battle between Hunt and Winterbottom continues, as it does up front between Clark and Lodinsky. Racing back down the main straight. Real adrenaline rush for the drivers, hitting top speed as they charge down the hill. Now drifting back further in the field, that's Joshua Pontello in 27.
Yep, leading Chris Cox there and Nick Aglin in kart number 55. Aglin, who actually dominated the last round of the championship in Queensland, he's back in no man's land at the moment. He'll need to pull his socks up if he's going to get to the front of this race, because the leaders are pulling away.
So the Revolution entry of Pontello, dicing with the Tony kart.
Leads Cox down the main straight there. Aglin in the Arrow AX6 slots in behind them as well. So they make their way through the chicane in front of the pits. And Gary Dan on the back of Mark Winterbottom now. So Dan, who's made the switch from PCR to Techno karts for this weekend, he's really going forward with Winterbottom in his sights.
Racetrack in brilliant order. Weather conditions here in Melbourne, perfect. Ideal temperature for racing. And the traction that these karts, the tyres can generate is extraordinary at the best of times. But in conditions like this, they are really sticking.
Yeah, that's right. So they make their way down the main straight, braking from probably 120, 123 kilometres an hour. That's their top speed down the main straight, down to somewhere around 40 or 50 kilometres an hour in less than a second. So it's really very physically demanding on the drivers.
Troy Hunt in 20 has raced into second place on the racetrack. Lodinsky in kart 7 relegated back to third. He's being hounded by Winterbottom. He's got a problem, Lodinsky, up through the hand.
Lodinsky throws his hand up. I'm not sure what the problem is there. We'll see if he continues on, but Lodinsky certainly dropped back. Troy Hunt's moved through, and Lodinsky's managed to keep it going. So whether he had some sort of temporary problem there, whether a throttle cable temporary came loose or something like that, not quite sure, but he's managed to keep going, although he is dropping back through the field with Dan and getting past him, and now under siege from William Yarwood.
Yes, the Techno driver, Gary Dan, South Australian, moving forward. You're now, or just a moment ago, had a shot of Troy Hunt in 20. Here he is, back with us again. Been a great drive by him, starting in the top half dozen or so on the grid, and he's really driven in a swashbuckling fashion. Has thrown caution to the wind too. To find himself up where he is in this event has been very aggressive.
Yeah, that's right. Troy's not taking any prisoners, and he's got Clark in his sights, and he'll be driving that cart as hard as he can in order to get to the front. So we have a look now at Yarwood. It's closed in on the back of Ledzinski. Very peculiar. Not quite sure what the problem was with Ledzinski. He threw his hand up a couple of laps ago to say he was in trouble, but he's managed to keep that number 7 PCR going. So
he certainly wouldn't be happy about it either. He's a competitor like the rest of them, and well, he led the race early on for the first half lap anyway.
He did. Yarwood makes his way past as Clark gets up onto 2 wheels. Very spectacular stuff from Clark. Very talented driver, though it might look as though the cart's out of control. It's certainly not. He knows exactly what he's doing, but he won't want to do that too often. It's not really a problem for him.
We certainly didn't back off any when it happened.
No, that's right. In fact, that's probably what caused it. The carts generate that much grip that if you turn, you keep your foot on the throttle in a tight corner, the cart will actually buck and hop because there's so much power being generated through that chassis, and the chassis just flexes to such a degree it throws the cart up onto 2 wheels.
You're watching the Arrow driver, 55, Nick Agland, another driver that hails from New South Wales.
That's right, Nick, who won just about all there was to win last year. He's really struggling this weekend in cart number 55 there, right behind Chris Cox, a 1997 Oceania champion, and Joshua Pontello.
Yes, Pontello has the best of that battle. I remind you, though, they are a long way back in the field. Another super slow-mo, which reflects the attitude and the precision driving required with these carts. That is Troy Hunt in 20.
You just see how the cart flexes and moves around so much. The carts actually subject the driver to over 4 G-forces, which is 4 times the driver's own body weight. You can see his head and body just being knocked around, such as the grip that these carts generate. He makes his way up the hill. 100cc 2-stroke engines producing about 30-odd horsepower, and that power's got to be put to the ground. That's done through those tyres, which generate the sort of grip to subject the drive to those sort of forces.
In comparison to so many other motorsports, karting inexpensive, but nonetheless, if you wish to compete at the top level of Formula A, it's still pretty serious money.
It is. You can race club-level karting in any one of 100 tracks across Australia as Winterbottom goes through the inside.
Great move.
So Winterbottom now making his way forward. But yeah, to compete in the top level, the Wins Australian Championship, it's well into 5 figures, let's put it that way.
Now Winterbottom getting down on the seat, tucking himself in behind the steering wheel, trying to break away from Hunt. Hunt's a racer's racer, though. He'll come clawing his way back. And Winterbottom, keeping a nice tight line, will drive defensively until he sorts himself out. Great effort by Winterbottom, who's been very good this weekend. In fact, very consistent for the whole series so far.
Yeah, Hunt tried to get back on the inside of Winterbottom, but couldn't do it, and that's cost him time. Winterbottom, who finished only 7th or 8th at the last round, has really got his act together this weekend in Melbourne, and he's now in 2nd spot.
Wonderful camera work from our boys, getting in nice and tight.
Looking back through the field, that's Daniel Richard in cart number 90, leading Clinton Dive, and Chris Cox, who touches the back of Clinton Dive, and that'll cost Cox. His nose cone has come loose, and he'll have to make a pit stop for a new nose cone, and that's effectively put him out of the race. So it's a tragedy for the Newcastle driver in cart number 77. Just that one incident there costing him big time.
David Clark, the leader in this 32-lap final, sponsored by the Eastern Creek International Karting Raceway. It's the Formula A finale, if you may have just joined us. And that was Ledzinski we saw travelling sideways. A replay of the nose cone incident.
Just a slight miscalculation on the part of the driver. Possibly dive, brake that millisecond too early, and Cox has hit the back of him and lost the nose cone, so that's cost him badly.
We remind our viewers around Australia that the 4th and final round of the Wins Australian Karting Championship to be staged at the brand new multi-million-dollar facility, the Eastern Creek International Karting Raceway in Sydney, on the weekend of October 10 and 11. If you live in Sydney, or even if you don't, get yourself out to Eastern Creek. You'll have a fantastic weekend of very close motor racing. October 10 and 11, the 4th and final round of the series.
Yeah, that's the grand finale of the series as Dan makes his way back on the inside of Hunt. Both drivers in very different kart and engine configurations. Gary Dan with Techno Perilla and Troy Hunt with Top Kart Coma, I believe. With the Bridgestone tyres, Dan on Dunlop tyres as well. So, yeah, they're running very different setups, but still quite competitive on different parts of the circuit.
Man out in front is David Clark in kart 1, the Victorian driver, CRG mounted. And he's doing as the other two have done previously today, leading comfortably. In fact, I'm surprised by the winning margin in the major races this afternoon here at the Melbourne International Karting Raceway. But there's no doubt about it, the battles further back in all races, particularly for the minor placings, have been just brilliant.
That's right, as we look at the battle for, I believe it's 5th spot between William Yarwood and fellow Queenslander Malcolm Heath. Malcolm's really done quite well this weekend, just on the outside of the top 5 and looking for a way past Yarwood in the CRG.
Plenty of CRGs entered in the Wins Australian Karting Championship, as there is the Technos, and certainly the top karts appear to have the strongest representation, and 1 or 2 Arrow entries around too.
Yeah, it's great to see such manufacturing involvement in the Premier Karting Series in Australia. It's where the top drivers are, without doubt. It's Yarwood now in 5th spot, trying to get away from Heath, but Heath's not giving up on him. It's been a really good drive by these two so far, and looks as though they're edging closer to the guys in front of them. Making their way through the double right-hander. Got to be very gentle through here, through the left-hander, absolutely flat out over the top of the hill as they make their way onto the main straight. Meanwhile, Clark out front is doing it absolutely easily. He's been the class of the field all weekend. It's his home track, the former West Australian, now based in Melbourne. So the engine blowing a big puff of smoke indicates that the engine's running nice and rich and it's not in danger of letting go.
He's tuning the engine on the run, as so many of them choose to do. Been a big drive by this man, Clark, who's inside his last racing lap now before he takes out the Eastern Creek International Karting Raceway Formula A finale here at the Melbourne International Karting Raceway. Don't be confused by all that.
Well, Clark's done it easy so far in comparison to the other drivers. He has been the class of the field this weekend.
He's looking around, waving at the spectators.
This has been a superb drive. Winterbottom's done exceptionally well. He's in 2nd place, but the battle for 3rd place between Troy Hunt and Gary Dan, that's going to go down to the wire as we pan across and take a look at them in just a moment. Meanwhile, it's David Clark who's going to come across the line to take the win.
And does so comfortably. Checkered flag on display. Clark emerging a very comfortable victor. In 2nd, Mark Winterbottom. And 3rd, the driver of Kart 10, Gary Dan. Good drive by him. Troy Hunt, by the way, was 4th. He fought all the way down to the checkered flag. William Yarwood rounding out the top 5 ahead of Malcolm Heath and Nick Agland. Well, highly entertaining karting action at the Melbourne International Karting Raceway. And there's the point score for you at the completion of 3 rounds now in the Formula A class. David Clark on 151, then Lozinski on 129. 10 points further back is Troy Hunt, still very much in the hunt. Nick Agland is your next man on that point score. Thanks for joining us at the Eastern Creek International Karting Raceway, and welcome to round 4 of the Wins Australian Karting Championship.